Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Hey everyone, I got a great one for you from yesterday. Half of my co-workers got stuck at a conference because of the hurricane, so the rest of us have been working ridiculous shifts to cover. Don't mind the overtime, and it couldn't be helped, so it is what it is. Yesterday I worked 12 hours after having worked 12 the 2 days before, and knowing I'd have another 12 today. Last one. Yay. Honestly, it wasn't horrible, but yeah, I was tired. Which is why I did what I did in the story. I changed out my work shirt before I even left the building, so I was wearing jeans and a tie-dye t-shirt when I wandered like a zombie into a fast food place to get something to eat. I get my food and kind of tuck myself into a corner to eat. At one point, I hear a bit of commotion, but ignore it. As I get up and throw out my trash, I hear an old man say, "Her, she should be fired." Oh man, crap is going down, and I'm nippy. So I look over and the guy is pointing at me with a super angry look on his face. I glance behind me, no one. Oh man, he's definitely pointing at me. He starts yelling about when he was here yesterday and how rude the cashier was and how I messed his order up. I'm half awake and just confused, looking at the manager like, what? And he gives me the scared/apologetic, I have no idea look. The old guy is still ranting when the manager says, "Sir, I'd love to help you get this fixed, but she doesn't work here. I can help you figure out who it was, but it wasn't her." And as this up always goes, old guy didn't listen. "No, I know it was her. I won't forget that nasty face." Okay, now I'm awake and increasingly getting angrier. Well, you apparently did, because I seriously don't work here and never have. Dude is not worth my time. I give the manager a have fun with this look and start towards the door. And this jerk threw a chair at me. A chair. It didn't hit me, but he sure did try. It got a bit fuzzy with everything going on at once, but the manager grabbed him up so fast in a bear hug and walked towards the door saying, "That's it. You're out of here. If you come back again, I'm calling the cops. That is, if this lady doesn't do so first for you trying to assault her with a chair." The old guy said something about, "She turned her back to me. Now let me go." The manager responded something like, "That's not how this works," or something of that sort. Like I said, it was fast and I was still a bit out of it. Props on the manager, by the way. He got that crazy away from me, his actual employees and the other customers, including a few children, in a matter of seconds. He pushed him out still screaming and held the door shut, offered me all the free food in the world, and told me he'd happily help me press charges. Had he left, I honestly might not have. But he was still yelling and banging on the door, so we basically had to, just to get him to leave. So we called the cops to remove him. While we were waiting, the manager mentions the cameras, sends back someone to pull it up so the cops can see it. Cops get there, get the old guy in cuffs and start asking what happened. Old guy lied through his teeth, saying that I threw the chair and the manager assaulted him and lied about being my boss. It was so easy to prove otherwise with the cameras. So he's in jail now for a list of charges. After one cop leaves with the old guy, another stays to get statements and all of that. For a giggle, they also looked to try to figure out which cashier was apparently so horrible. There were only guys working the entire day. They couldn't even find the old guy. We're sure he never came in. As I was finally leaving, the cop looks at me and innocently asks, "You sure you don't work here?" Dude, I don't know why, but I lost it and kept laughing. Asked if he wanted me to show him how to teach a chair to fly, and he also lost his and started laughing. Edit. Many people have mentioned that this sounds like the man has Alzheimer's or dementia. This morning I found his mugshot, which helped me find other times he's been in jail. Over the past 20 years, records aren't updated to show anything before that. He's been charged for assault 4 times, trespassing 2 times, and a random DUI and resisting arrest 6 times. So of the 7 arrests, he resisted all but 1. What I'm saying is, this guy just seems like a jerk. So this one was years ago and will need a little setup. I'll try to make it so I can be so easily identified, but will also try to give enough detail that can be checked up on, as it involves a reasonably famous individual. So for years I lived in Kennebunkport in Maine, USA. It's very much a holiday town and gets busy in the summer. Now, as the summer period starts, a very special guest would arrive in Kennebunkport, as they had a holiday home at the northern end of town on a small peninsula. A very well-known politician. There were plenty of restaurants in the town, many owned by the same company, and the politician used to dine with us a lot. So, one day I was wiping down the bar. It was a quiet day and we only had a few people dining. Behind the bar is a huge fish tank, so you can see through the tank to the front door. I saw a lady walking across the drive, well-dressed and straightening her skirt. I placed the cleaning stuff under the bar and awaited the lady. "May I help you?" I asked. Karen answers, "I hope so. Is the order ready?" "I'm not aware of any order, but I'll have a check with the kitchen." "Can I take your name?" "You don't even know who the hell I am? What an embarrassment." She will go on to tell me that she was here for an order of oysters and clams for the politician compound. Now, this wasn't unusual. The politician often got complimentary oysters whenever he would dine with us. Plus, we would often send food up to the compound. But it was never this lady, and never a sole person who would pick it up. Certainly not on foot, and we knew the cars they used. I could not get a single word in. She berated me for a while. "I'll have your job," or "Is this a disrespectful, shambolic service you always provide?" and the usual crap. Then she spies a gentleman behind me, full suit, very smart, who has come to see what the commotion was all about. Karen flicks her head his way and utters, "You, come here." Karen went into her rant to be stopped 10 seconds in as a man in a suit gestured for her to come through into the back dining area. The suited man tells her, "Ma'am, will you just step this way please and we can resolve this?" Now, I don't work here, but on the other side of the wall she saw the politician and his well-known family as well, and a few guests who were dining with us. I should mention that he was provided with service agents to protect him and his family. One of the agents was sitting in a corner, the other one was a well-dressed man by Karen's side whom she had incorrectly assumed was my manager. Her face went white and she ran. Well, sort of. She had heels on. She stumbled and head-butted the front door, before stumbling over the driveway like a newborn deer trying to walk for the first time. The politician's staff just let her go, simply asking for a copy of the CCTV before they left. According to one of my bosses, the lady was picked up by the sheriff's department, charged and fined a few months later. I think there were some form of fraud charges. I had nothing to do with it after she ran out. Our managers dealt with most of it, like I said. A larger company owned most restaurants in town. We only got snippets. Apparently, attempting to steal products and defraud a business by way of claiming to work for a politician of the United States is frowned upon in Maine. So yeah, she wasn't actually part of the politician team. She worked at Walmart in a town called Wells, up the coast. She wanted to try her luck and had probably heard that the politician dined here when he was in town. I believe she lost her job there and was arrested and fined a few months later. This incident took place in India in the early 90s. The school where my sister and I had studied was in my hometown. We knew almost all the teachers since they were practically our neighbors. When it came to the time I graduated from school, the principal had retired and the vice principal took over as a principal. The vice principal was also from the same town and for some unknown reason had some sort of grudge against my father. In local gathering and so on, he would always try to belittle my father at all chances he could get. My father would normally let it pass since he knows that getting into silly arguments with such a bully is totally unproductive. When my sister and I had joined the school, my father was required to pay a refundable deposit of 5,000 per child, which will be returned back at the time each child graduated from the school. 10,000 rupees in the 90s was a large amount then and is equivalent to 95,000 rupees of the present time. I graduated in 1989, and when my father inquired about the refund, the VP had informed him that since my sister will be graduating in 1 year's time, both the deposits will be returned together. So when my sister graduated from school, my father requested the school to refund both the deposits. There was no response even after 2 weeks, and my father personally went to the school to demand a refund. The vice principal, being the egotistical bully, started arguing with my dad, stating that the school can't refund the deposit. The argument became very heated and he outright refused point blank and said, "We are not returning the deposits. Do what you can. You can take us to court if you want." My father went silent, got up and left the school, came home, sat down with mom, went through all the school-related documents she had kept. My mom had a very meticulous documentation system. She used to save every receipt, bill, stop, and so on. He found a receipt for the deposits. He took them to his lawyer friend, and my dad informed his friends, whose children were in the same school, about this issue. The lawyer filed a case and took the school to court. The school couldn't provide any reason for withholding the deposits, and fighting was apparent. My dad won. The school was instructed to pay back the deposits with interest and the court dues. My father's friends who were in a PTA took up the issue in the subsequent PTA meeting and got the school's trustee board to ensure that such issues won't be dealt with in the same manner and all deposits will be refunded in time, and strictly warned the VP not to bring personal grudges into school business again. Other parents who were owed deposits but have forgotten about it started claiming them. It cost the school a lot to pay back the deposits. I recently moved and my new neighbors seem to have no concept of how much noise they are making. Loud music until late at night, guests having loud conversations or screaming matches, you know the drill. It is important to know that there are so-called resting times where I live. You are generally not allowed to make noise between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. on weekdays. That includes loud music. A couple of days ago, at around 11 p.m. during the week, I knocked on their door asking them to turn their music down as I had work in the morning. After being asked why that was their problem, I replied that not only for the sake of being neighborly should they turn their music down. Remember, down, not off. I'm no party pooper, but also because it's illegal to be this loud at this time of day. The reply? What, you're gonna call the police because of some music? That would not be very neighborly either. So how about we all mind our business and just stick to our own apartments, huh? I'd bet. Their party went on to about 2 a.m. Then they finally stopped. I, meanwhile, decided to take a home office date to exact my revenge on their no doubt hungover butts. At exactly 6 a.m., knowing that my other neighbor had gone to work, I, for the first time ever, turned my 800-watt speaker system all the way up to 11. Volume, bass boost, triple, everything. I also turned my subwoofer towards the wall that had their bedroom on the other side. I'm a big fan of electronic music, especially the hard stuff. Hardstyle, tech, PSY, anything that is loud and has a lot of bass. So I let them share in my joy at full volume. Walls were vibrating, the ground was shaking. I decided to wear earplugs because it was just too much even for me. After about 15 minutes at full volume, I get a notification that someone is at my door. I open it, music still blaring at full power, to my pissed off looking neighbors in their pajamas, reeking of alcohol. They of course asked me to stop, and I replied, "What, you're gonna get angry over a little music? Well, that's not very neighborly. How about you just stick to your apartment, huh?" I then slammed the door in their face and turned off my doorbell. After another hour of various dubstep, tech, and death metal, I turned off my system, walked over to their door and rang up a storm. After they had opened their door, all I said was, "Peace, resting time between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. during the week. We cool?" Yeah, I definitely got them. Happened a couple months ago in our neighborhood. There is a pretty rundown house with some inconsiderate neighbors. They have a large travel trailer that is too big for the driveway and sticks out 1 foot into the sidewalk when it's parked. It's not an issue as there is plenty of room to walk around, but the kicker is they always park one of their cars halfway in a driveway, so it completely blocks the sidewalk. They live in a corner house, so it's dangerous for a family to walk in a street around a blind corner because the sidewalk is inaccessible. Multiple neighbors, including myself, have asked them multiple times to pull their car into the driveway or park it on a street to leave the sidewalk accessible. They always say they will, but nothing changes. Well, apparently they got into a shouting match with one of the other neighbors over it, with the offending neighbor telling the other neighbor if they don't like it, call the city. Well, the other neighbor did just that. City came out and wrote a ticket for the SUV blocking the sidewalk and also wrote them up for the trailer that was too big to fit in a driveway, forcing them to store it in a rental space for $350 a month. This isn't my story but my ex-boss. I work in a hotel which changed hands a number of years ago. My previous boss before the change of management had a number of tales of her time in a hotel trade, and this was one of her favorites. She had a previous job running a different hotel, which was a fairly modest size when she took over. Whilst there, the manager had big plans for expansion. Ex-boss was responsible for getting this done and went about applying for planning permission for the planned extensions. Over the next few years, the hotel grew in size, acquiring a swimming pool, spa, and numerous guest bedrooms and function rooms, with ex-boss exhausting every avenue she could when it came to getting the necessary permissions, ending up with the hotel being several times its original size. Next door to the hotel was a public car park and picnic spot, and once the expansion was complete, she decided to maximize on a location by building a footpath linking the hotel grounds to the car park, inciting picnickers into the hotel bar. The problem was that by this time the council had made it clear that the company was not going to be granted any more planning permission for any further work of any sort. Knowing this, the ex-boss realized it would be futile to even attempt to apply for the necessary permits, so she took a different approach. She contacted the council, saying she was concerned for the safety of the hotel clientele, as the hotel was situated in a busy main road, which posed a danger to any customers trying to get from the neighboring car park to the hotel. She demanded that the council took action to ensure the safety of the public, financing some way of preventing them from walking along the main road where they ran the risk of a potentially fatal accident. The council replied that this wasn't their responsibility, and if the hotel was really so concerned about the issue, they should pay to have a pass built themselves. This was exactly what the ex-boss was hoping for, and before the council could change their mind, she did exactly that, building a footpath at the council request, which they would never have let her do if she had asked for permission through the regular channels.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.